Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to another Sunday Live Q&A. If this is your first visit, this is the first time you're here, Please note that I have subscribers only turned on my channel on the chat. And you need to be subscribed to my channel for a minimum of 1 day before you can participate in the chat. I'm sorry, I had to do that because of bots and trolls and people who just like to come in and try to take over a chat during a live stream. Got out of hand once, I decided never again. So if you subscribe today, you'll be able to participate next Sunday. I'm sorry it has to be that way, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in. So that's the only thing I could come up with to eliminate that issue. So, thank you for the kind words, Butch. I hope it's worth it. That still amazes me that this many people would care enough about anything I have to say to pop in and hang around and keep coming back. But one of the people that does keep coming back, no matter when, no matter what, is my friend Steve over at Harneal Media. How do you like that slick segue there, Steve? That was pretty cool, wasn't it? Just kind of drifted it right in. Well, Steve's been with me from the get-go, and that's because he's a friend. He's just a good man, 100%. Very devoted family man and very devoted to his business and his clients and customers at Harneal Media. Now, I've been singing Steve's praises for years, and I'm going to keep doing it until he tells me to stop. And that's simply because I believe in him, I believe in his company, I believe in his mission, and I believe in the way he does business. And that is 100% personally. If you're even toying with the idea of a website, you owe it to yourself to get over to harnealmedia.com and click that contact us link and shoot Steve a message. Let him know what you got on your mind. If you want to just start a blog and start showcasing the work you do, he can help you with that. If you want to create a web store where people can see the products or services you offer, he can hook you up with that as well. If you want to start a line of merchandise, T-shirts, baseball caps, mouse pads, coffee mugs, things of that nature, with your logo on it, he can help you up, or yeah, he'll help you up. He can also set you up with a print-on-demand company that'll take care of all of the inventory, all the collection of taxes and VAT, and make sure those go to the correct people. And they handle the inventory, they handle the printing, and they handle the shipping worldwide. They've got distribution warehouses all over the world, and they will ship internationally, no problem. So do yourself a favor. If you're even thinking about it, if you're tired of paying commissions, if you're tired of your paying listing fees, if you're tired of your competition being advertised on the same page as your products or services, you owe it to yourself to take control of your business and get over to harnealmedia.com. There's a link in the description of every video and every live stream on this channel. It's that way for a reason. Click on that link, click that contact us link, shoot him a message. Let him know what you'd like to do. Let him know what you've got on your mind. He'll work with you. He'll square you away. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, Harneal Media, the sponsor of MarkLindsayCNC.com. It's been that way forever, and it's going to stay that way until he tells me to stop. Period. Thank you for everything you do, Steve. I really appreciate it. So, let's see what's going on here. See, now what I do is I scroll through the chat and see if Steve has said, okay, Mark, stop it. So, okay, not so far. So we're good. Yeah, it's Steve and I go way back, way back, almost from the very beginning. So he's a good man. He really is on a personal level. He's a good guy. So let's get into something here. I've got one question. I kind of mentioned in the chat, talking about, my not being able to work with power tools simply because I'm on meds that won't let me. But I got a 3D printer thanks to a very close friend of the channel, and just a prince of a man. My very first channel member, by the way. You know who you are, Sargon. He got a new 3D printer, and he sent me his old 3D printer. Just showed up. This is the kind of guy he is. He says, "You're going to get a package today." Well, out on my front porch is this huge box. And it was a Prusa Mark III's 3D printer. And just from out of the blue, he bought a new one and didn't need that one and sent it to me. And I've been learning it and going crazy learning it. But 8 Sinner says, so what have you been printing? You rarely mention it on the Sundays. I do that on purpose. I don't mention the 3D printing on Sundays simply because there are almost, but not quite, a bazillion 3D printing channels out there. And I'm new to it. I'm still learning it. And I have a deep philosophical problem presuming to teach somebody anything about something that I have never done before. There's a lot of bad information on the internet, and I don't want to add to it. So that's my main reason, is because I'm still new to it and I'm still learning it. The other reason is because I don't want to divide my priorities on this channel. I've developed the reputation of being a CNC router channel dedicated to beginners, dedicated to the folks who were like me 10, 11 years ago, who couldn't even spell CNC, and have the basic questions. I was asked the other night if I ever get frustrated with beginners' questions about simple things. And my honest answer is no, I don't. Because I was that guy. I was the guy who had all those questions. So I want to stay focused on that here on this channel and be there for the person who has just got their CNC router and doesn't know what to do next. And if you go through my library of videos, yeah, there are some advanced things in there, but it's mainly for the beginner, and that's not going to change. And if I start talking about 3D printing on this channel, it takes away from that, and I don't want to do that. So I've been asked, are you going to start a 3D printing channel? And my answer is a definite maybe. I just don't know. I just don't know. I might, but as I said before, there are already a ton of 3D printing channels out there, and I would just be another voice screaming into the void. Somebody new to it, somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. Now, maybe there's some value there. I don't know. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to start a Mark Lindsay CNC 3D or Mark Lindsay 3D printing channel. I might. I just don't know at this point. I barely have time for all the things I've got going on in my life now. Adding another channel, especially when I'm not up to making videos yet, simply because of control of this stupid hand. Maybe. Just don't count on it. But then again, I'm not going to say no. So, yeah, and I get it. I understand. You weren't asking for learning purposes, but it's a legitimate question, and you're not the only one that has asked that. So I figured I would just address it, and you gave me the perfect opportunity. And, you know, I think we're all here as humans sharing common interest, because I know probably 80% of the people who come to these Sunday Live Q&As are not beginners. So they don't necessarily need to know how to draw a circle. But I'm also here for the guy who does. So, and when I say guy, I mean everybody. I'm not being exclusionary. In fact, my biggest growing demographic are women in the 25 to 35 age group. Welcome aboard, ladies. No exclusion here. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm excited about anybody that wants to get into this and wants to learn it. So everybody's welcome. I'm very open to women in what we would naturally consider male-dominated roles. I mean, I married a helicopter mechanic, for crying out loud, who spent 22 years in the Army. How non-traditional can one be, you know? And we've been married 38 years, so that says something. I'm all about whoever wants to join in, you are more than welcome. So, I don't think I almost got a rebuff. I think, especially Ellen, she knows. She's one of my favorite people, and she knows I love her to death. Never met her face to face, but she knows I love her to death. Okay, well, anyway, enough of that. That's kind of why I haven't really talked a whole heck of a lot about 3D printing. So, it just doesn't fit into. There's another thing to consider, and that is think about the people you subscribe to on YouTube. You subscribe to them for a reason, and you go to their channel expecting to see something, that's related to the topic that you're interested in. If they suddenly move in another direction, there's less interesting to keep going back. And I have quite a following here. I've made a lot of online friends here. I've made a lot of people that I've never met face to face that I consider good friends. Like Steve being one of them. But if I just start switching into something like, model railroads or something like that, and just get away from CNC, well, the people that are here for the CNC are just going to start going elsewhere. And I don't want to do that. So if I do anything 3D printing, it'll be on another channel. And I'll talk about it if that happens, but right now I can't say yes, I can't say no. So, all right. Okay, well, let's get into, speaking of which, I have waffled on enough about that. Let's get into some CNC stuff. I had a question from another longtime friend of the channel, Leo Steger, saying he drew 6 quarter circles, 3 on each side of a 2x8, 4 of them cut on the outside of the line and 2 on the inside, and could not fix it. That is a very common issue. And so what I'm going to do, and by the way, Leo did come in and he did come in and kind of update his comment and kind of told me a little bit about his layout. But the problem is the same regardless of the layout. So let's jump over here, and I'm going to demonstrate this in VCarve, but it works the same way in Cut 2D, Desktop and Pro, VCarve Desktop and Pro, and Aspire. It works exactly the same way. And what we're getting into here, let's see, he drew quarter circles, so let me create a circle here. We're going to go, I don't know, we'll go 3-inch diameter, and I'll put one right here. All right, so what I need to do is change that into a quarter circle, and I'll go into node editing, and I'm going to come up here to this node, and I'm going to right click and cut vector. I'm going to look over here and see the keyboard shortcut is C. Since I'm in the menu, I'll go ahead and use the menu, click on that. Then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to tap C on my keyboard to cut the vector there. Now I'm going to tap the letter N to come out of node editing. Now I can select that and delete it. All right. So I've got 1/4 circle here. Now he said he's got 3 of these on each end of the board. So I'll just select that, click it again to go into move and transform mode, put my cursor over the center, hold down the control key, then click and drag another one right here. Then release everything, then hold down the control key again, click and drag, and do that right there. So I've got 3 half circles right there. Now, I don't know Rich's layout, but that's the layout is really irrelevant because it's going to be the same no matter what. Now I'm going to select those 3, and I'm going to go over to Mirror, Selected Objects. I want to flip about the job center. I want to create mirrored copies. I want to flip them horizontal. So I click on that, close, and now I've got 6. Okay. Now, something to pay attention to. Let me select all of these. Hold down the control key, select A. So control A selects all, selects everything on the material, every vector. These black points indicate our start points. Okay? Now, start points are important for several reasons. One of them being, this is going to dictate where the bit comes up, plunges into the first cut, and starts cutting. The other thing it does is it decides which side of the vector the bit is going to cut on. Now, if I want these to cut in this direction, these start points are fine where they are. If I don't want it to start up here, if I want them to start down at the base, with all of these selected, I could go in one by one and node edit them. You know, make that a start point, make that a start point, make that a start point. Or deselect, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, just do one. Tap in to go into node editing, right click, make start point. Tap the letter N to come out of node editing. Then I can make my copies. Hold down Control, drag, hold down Control again, drag, click off, select all 3, mirror, again, flip about job center, create a mirrored copy, flip horizontal. So now I've got my start points where I want them. That's fine. That's great. Now, when I go over to toolpath this, and I believe, Leo, you were running a standard profile toolpath. We'll go up here to a profile toolpath, and for this demonstration, I'll just go ahead and use the cut depth of 0.125. I don't want to use a V-bit. I'm going to use a 1/8 inch end mill because it's a relatively small piece of material and these are pretty close together. Now, here's where the issue is. I want them to cut to the outside of the line. However, what we need to look at is it says outside, but it also says right. This is where the issue comes in. It's where you're going to machine the vectors. So if I do nothing else, and I come down and calculate the toolpath, right, they will be cut as multiple contours. That's fine. Would you like to continue creating a toolpath or cancel? I want to create the toolpath. That was just letting me know I have multiple open vectors. And I know that, so that's fine. Now, if we look at the toolpath, we've got our red. Red is a rapid move. That's a move with the bit lifted up out of the material. It's not cutting. Then we come over here, and there's our plunge move. It's going to plunge in. The dark blue is the cut. Then it's going to retract, move over to this one, plunge down, cut, retract, etc., etc., etc. Get to this one, lift up, wrap it over to this one, and cut the other three. But now let's take a look at where the cut is in relation to the vector. We're going to go back over to the 2D view, and we see with our wireframe toolpath view, it's going to cut to the inside of the line on this side and the outside of the line on this side. We can also take a look at the solid view, and we can see the same thing. It's cutting to the outside of the line over here, but it's cutting to the inside of the line over here. Let me jump back into the profile toolpath. That's what this means right here. You're cutting to the outside of the vector, but because they're open vectors, there is no outside. It's cutting to the right of the vector. So over here, it is to the outside, but over here, it's to the inside. So in this situation, you have to create two separate toolpaths. And here's the easy way to remember this. Imagine standing on that start point, and you're looking in the direction of the cut. When you machine to the outside of the vector, it's going to cut to the right of the open vector. So you're standing here on this point, looking in the direction of the cut, it's going to cut to the right. If you want these three vectors to cut to the outside, they have to be machined to the left. So that means two separate toolpaths. So what we'll do, since I'm within the toolpath, I'll select these three, calculate the toolpath. We know it's three separate contours, they're meaning open vectors. We'll click OK, create the toolpath, and now we only have those three. If I look in my 2D view, they're cutting to the outside, exactly the way we wanted them. So now I got to close my preview, go into the profile toolpath, and show advanced toolpath options. There we go. I want the whole thing. Now I'm going to select these three vectors, and I'm going to cut to the inside left. Okay? So I'll come down here, calculate. I know they're open contours. Okay. Jump back over to the 2D view, and now they're all cutting to the outside. Now that's just one way to accomplish this. Okay? Steve and Butch and Jay Scotia are all saying the same thing. All right? Start point at the top of the three vectors on the left. Yes, you can do that. You could move your start point back up here to the top, and it would still cut to the outside. You're absolutely right. Doing it this way gives me a chance to show something else. Rich Bratcher says 47 and a half different ways. As Michael Mazalik likes to say, there are three answers. There are three answers. This is one answer. The real question is how you manage to copy 6 vectors and make 2 of them reverse but not the others. The real question is, it's possible he had only 2 vectors over here and 4 over here. Or maybe one was not selected correctly, or maybe the start point was in a different location. I don't know how he drew the vectors. So, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that could be going on. Now, I'm going to close the preview here, but I've got both of them selected because we have an option here. We're talking about, I have two tool paths here. That means I can leave them this way. I could run the first tool path, then run the second tool path. But I also have another option, and that is right click, group the visible tool paths. So the visible tool paths mean there's a check mark here. So I've got a check mark in both of these tool paths. I can group them. So now I have one group. Now when I go to save G-code, I've selected that group. So there's 2 tool paths that are going to be saved to one piece of G-code. Now the thing about this is, it's 2 separate tool paths. It's still 2 separate tool paths, which means in this case it doesn't really matter. But in this case it means it's going to do these 3 first, starting with the furthest out, and then move inward, then jump over and do these 3. But it would be one piece of G-code. It won't be 2 separate tool paths. But there's another option that's also available. Ungroup. So I no longer have a group. And that is to merge the tool paths. So I'll click on that icon. These 2 tool paths will be merged. Now, again, this is not going to really matter much in this case because we have 3 fairly well-spaced tool paths at different ends of the piece of material. But merging tool paths, you can come up here and select one or more of the ordering approaches. Okay? We can go left to right. We can go left to right and bottom to top. Or we can go left to right in a grid. Or we can use the shortest path starting from the bottom to the top. So if we have one tool path that's carving right here, and then another tool path that's carving right here, close enough, and then another tool path here, and then another tool path here, those 4 tool paths can be grouped in such a way that it merges all of the movements. So it would start here, for example, because we're going left to right, bottom to top. It will start here, and then carve this way, then jump down and carve this, then jump up and carve this here. But it will also create one merged tool path. So it did change the order slightly. This is not going to come here and jump down and do that. In this case, because we have merged the tool path, it has disregarded the starting points of these vectors over here. Wendell is asking, would those groups have 2 separate tool calls? They might, but because we're using the same tool, it's not really a factor. If you have an ATC, and like for instance, these are using a V-bit, 30-degree V-bit, and these are using a 60-degree V-bit, you will have separate tool calls because they should be separate tool numbers. But if they're all using the same bit, If it has a different tool call in the G code, you may end up going to, it may or may not register as a tool change because the tool is installed. It might, is what I'm saying. I'm not 100% certain. But if you merge them, that toolpath is not going to have separate tool calls. Let me check something here. I don't want to. Let me ungroup, and I'm going to go into profile 1, and let's change the bit. I'm not certain if it, well, I'll just go to a 1/4 inch end mill. That's different enough. And I'll calculate the toolpath. I don't know if it will allow me to merge bits that use different tools. Let's see. Close this. Well, first we'll group. And we'll try that. See, it's not even, oh, there we are, group visible, and there they are. It did allow me to group them with 2 different tools. And, but it's not selecting the second one. It's not letting me save both because they use 2 different tools. So that tells me no, it's not going to give you a tool call, simply because it's not going to let me select both of those tools because they use different tool numbers. So we'll close that and we'll ungroup. I say ungroup. Now we'll try merging them. Error. Merging requires all tool paths to have the same tool. The visible tool paths use different tools, so it's not going to let me merge. The button is grayed out. They have to use the same tool. So the difference between grouping and merging is grouping tool paths. Let me go back and change that real quick here. Grouping tool paths, they still remain separate tool paths. So they will be run in the order, and we'll recalculate them here. Calculate, okay, shaboom. They will run them in this order. Profile 1, then profile 2. Now because this is profile 1, it'll run these first. And that's profile 2, it'll run these second. So there's our grouped toolpath. If I merge them, oops, wrong. There we go. Both visible. If I merge them, they will, let's uncheck merge by part and see what it does. We're going to use left to right, bottom to top, shortest path, and we'll merge it. Will not necessarily preserve the current toolpath order or the cutting order within the existing toolpath. Okay, that's fine. And it made this to the shortest path here. And because it's using the same tool, there will be one tool call. It won't let you merge toolpaths that use different tools. And when you go to save, oh, merge toolpath. That's what it's going to be. That merge toolpath. It's the merge toolpath is going to contain both of these. So that turns both of these into a single toolpath. Then we'd save it and off we go. So, 3 answers. Yes, you can change the, you can have the start point on the top here on these 3. You can have the start point at the bottom here on these 3 and create one single tool path. Or you can put the start point at all of in all the same places, calculate 2 tool paths, then group them or merge them. Either way. 3 answers. So, There we go. I mean, and as you get further and further into the software, you've got multiple ways to go. But the takeaway from this, the main point that I'm trying to get across with all of this, let me uncheck these and go over here into the 2D view. The main thing I'm trying to get across is when you're looking at these start points, imagine standing on that start point and looking in the direction of the cut. That's going to decide where it's going to cut. We got the outside right. We got the inside left. And this is not the only place where this matters. Let me close this. And we're going to go back over to the Design tab. And I'm just going to select 1. Now I'm going to come over here to Offset. If I want to offset this toolpath to the right, I've got to look up here. I'm going to offset the vector outward. That's going to offset to the right. It's an open vector. There is no inside or outside. There's only left or right. If I want this to cut out here, or offset out this way, I have to go to the left. Then that's going to tell me, then that's going to cut out here. Or excuse me, offset out here. So again, imagine standing on that point and looking in the direction of the cut, and you're going to go to the right of that or to the left of that. And there are other locations within the software where that does make a difference. Now, why did I start? Let's get a little bit deeper in here. Why did I get this as my start point when I first created this? Let's look at a circle. And I'm going to make it a 3-inch radius, and I'm going to put it on my X, 0, Y, 0, create. Close. I'm going to select it and tap the letter N on my keyboard to go into node editing. When I created the circle, it put the start point right there at the top. Why they select the top, I don't know. But they did, so there we are. When I cut the vector, this was my first cut up here at the start point. If I cut the vector by going over here and tap C, now that becomes the start point. This is now we're getting back into what is a vector and how vectors work. Vectors don't really exist in real time, or excuse me, in real space. Vectors are just visual representation of the math that the computer does to go from point A to point B. All vectors have to have a start point and either a length and distance, or they have to have a definite endpoint. So when I cut that vector here, I created a start point and I created an endpoint. It just happens that the start point and the end point, they're two different points stacked one on top of another there. One is the start point, one is the end point. So now, for this vector to make a quarter circle, I have to give it an endpoint. That endpoint's going to be right here. So I come up here and tap C and cut it again. Now my vector has a start point and an end point. If I delete this portion of it, there's my vector. And my start point is down here because that's where I made the initial cut. So that's why when I first created that circle, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, When I first created that circle, it created it with the start point up here at the top. That was the first place I cut it, so the start point stayed there. I could either go ahead and make the cut, make another cut, and then move my start point, or I can start my cut here, C, and my end point here, C, then deleted that whole thing. The easy fix might be to machine the vector on the line, adjusting the circle size as needed. Yes, 3 answers, and probably more than 3. You can figure out exactly where you want the cuts to be, adjust your vector placement accordingly, and when you go to cut, let me unmerge these, ungroup. When you cut, make it on the line. This comes in handy in a lot of different ways. So, yeah, there are a bunch of different ways, and there are a bunch of different workarounds. And your workflow is going to dictate which one you use. Some folks like keyboard shortcuts. Some folks prefer to use menus and icons. I'm never going to tell either one that they're wrong because I use a combination of the two. I can't remember all of the keyboard shortcuts, and I don't know if I would want to talk to somebody who can. Even the developers don't remember all the shortcuts. You just remember the ones that you use most often. Everybody knows Control Z. Control Z is undo. But if you Control Z, you also need to know that there is Control Y. Control Z is undo. Control Y is redo. So if you Control Z and decide, oops, that was a mistake, didn't want to do that, you can Control Y and it'll put it back. A lot of folks don't know that. I see Butch and 8 Sinners saying Kyle would. Kyle might. I don't know. I'm sure he has to look things up or refresh himself a little bit. And don't get me wrong. Kyle's a great guy. I like Kyle. He's a good man. Somebody asked me one time about what it's like to be in competition with Kyle, and we're not in competition. I know I'm not for everybody. He knows he's not for everybody. We complement each other. And the joke between the two of us is, if you want to learn how to do something, go to Kyle. If you want to learn why you do something, come to me, because I'm going to take the time to tell you why it's that way. Like I just went into vectors and what have you. As I figure I'm not the only one that wants to know that. So that's how I learn. So why not? If I know why something is a certain way, the next time I go to do it, I can keep that in mind and then go for it. And I don't sit there scratching my head or pulling my hair out, as you can see. I don't sit there pulling my hair out trying to figure out why it's doing something. Well, it's doing exactly what you told it to do. So it's good and bad. Excuse me. Man. So, wow, I did almost an hour on that. That's funny. But it's a very legit question because something that doesn't get talked about a lot, and that is grouping or merging toolpaths, isn't talked about a lot. And if you have several toolpaths that use the same bit, even though they're different operations, like a pocket, then a profile, but they use the same 1/4-inch end mill, and you've got nothing going on in between. And what I mean by that is, let's get back into the software here. Let's jump over, and we're going to do another circle. We're going to put a pocket right here. Close it. I'm going to get rid of that. delete. And we're going to jump over here. And this is going to be a pocket. I don't know what I've got here. I'm just going to leave it. 1/4 inch deep with a 1/4 inch end mill offset. That's fine. I'm just going to run it like that. Now, I want this pocket to happen up here. And I want this to be cut first, then the pocket, then this to be cut. Okay? There are 3 separate tool paths, but they use 2 different bits. This is a 1/4 inch bit, and these are 1/8 inch bits. So I can't merge these, but I can merge these. So if I take my pocket out of this, I can merge these. But now I got to look at, do I want to? Let's say this is a profile toolpath that cuts the material out. That's my final outline. I want it to do these cuts before it does that profile cutout. So I'm going to move that pocket back down to the bottom. Let's close this. Go back into my design tab real quick. Create vectors. I want them based on I want to draw a rectangle, x0, y0. The size, I want x minus 0.5 equals y minus 0.5 equals, and I want, we'll leave square corners. And we'll create that rectangle, close it, zoom out, and that's what I got. So now I want another profile toolpath, and I want it to cut, I want to use 1/4 inch end mill for this. Select, I want it to go all the way through, so Z equals outside and calculate. So that's my profile cutout. Now, let's uncheck all the tool paths here. So I've got one profile cutting these half circles, second profile cutting these half circles. Now, then I'll do a tool change and I'll cut these two. This is the order that I want them cut in. My profile needs to be the absolute last thing that I cut out. I don't want to cut the material out and still have operations in here. If I have something else I want to put down in that pocket, I want to make sure that something else is before my profile cutout. Otherwise, I'm going to have issues, especially if I'm holding it down with screws out here on the far corners. So, and I can change this around again based on the order of operations here. And that's how it's going to merge them. So I can go here, select all of them, close this, and I can say, let's merge tool paths. Now, it requires all the tool paths have the same tools. So I have to get rid of this one and this one because they use 1/4 inch end mills. So it'll merge these two tool paths because they use the same tool. And we'll leave the selected order. Okay? And we'll merge those tool paths. So now I've got that merged tool path. Now I'm going to come over here and uncheck this. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk. Close that. And I'm going to merge these tool paths. Now I need to look at the order. Because they both use the same tool, I can merge them. But I need to make sure my pocket is listed first. Not the profile. Because I want that profile to be the last thing. If it's, I can't change it while I'm in this, so let's close it. Let's go with, no, profile 3. Let's go in here. If I have it set up like this, I'm setting myself up for failure because I've already cut my material out, then tried to go in and do a pocket. If my work holding is a problem, we're setting ourselves up for failure and heck, even possible injury. So let me try this again here and see if it'll let me do it. I had the wrong toolpath selected. So I've got to make sure I've got them in the correct order, and this list up here reflects that order. Okay. Then I can uncheck all of this and merge those two tool paths. I know it's not going to necessarily preserve the current order. Let's see. It's going to cut the pocket first. We can see here's our start point. It's going to wrap it over, plunge, and cut. All the black is, all the dark blue is the plunge. No, it's going to start in the middle. I take that back. It's going to plunge straight down from here. I see it now. There's my plunge. And it's going to cut outward. Then it's going to lift up, come back, plunge again, and do the next cut. It's going to keep going past depth by past depth. Then once it's out here and it's finished cutting everything, it'll retract out of the material, wrap it down here, come down to the corner, and plunge in and start the profile cuts. So if I select these two while I'm in my preview window, and I preview the visible tool paths, that's how it's going to cut. In the order that I had them here and merged them in. But when I go to export G-code, save G-code rather, close, save G-code, it's going to save the merged toolpath using that 1/4 inch end mill or 1/8 inch end mill. I'll save that toolpath, then come back and save this one that uses the 1/4 inch end mill. So the order of operations is sometimes, well, is almost always just as important as the tool you're selecting. That was more than anybody wanted to know, but that's kind of a peek inside this up here, in that knowing why something happens is just as important as knowing how it happens. It's very easy to say put tab A into slot B. But if you know what tab A is, why it exists, what slot B is, why it exists, and why those two go together the way they do, you're more likely to understand when it comes up the next time, or you decide to break away from somebody else's tab A and slot B and create your own. If you know why a dovetail bit is 22.5 degrees, for example, you're more likely to remember that your dovetails that angle needs to be accounted for. If you know that a 1/4 inch bolt will not fit into a 1/4 inch hole, and why, you're more likely to make the adjustment needed to create that hole just a little bit oversized. So at least that's how I learn. And those may not be the best examples, but you get my drift. So, okay, well, we've been up for about an hour. 8th Center, I still have your emails. What I will do is I will try to make time over the next couple of days. I will try to make time to replicate that crash issue. But my point remains that if you are talking about keyboard shortcuts, Control S is a universal keyboard shortcut within the Windows Pro operating system. Control S is a universal keyboard shortcut for save. So if you are saving a file while you're in the middle of an operation, it's probably going to crash or it's going to do something unexpected. So, but I've got your emails. Let me get back into them and make sure that I've got it right. And I will attempt to recreate it. If it's still replicating for you now, don't rely on me. Report it yourself. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. If I can replicate it, I'll report it as well. And it's not a question of them being more likely to listen to me, because if they can't replicate it on why did I do that? If they can't replicate it on their end, whether it's yes, whether it's on your end or my end, we're going to get the same answer. But at least they can take a look into it. Let's see. You have reported it. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'll try to replicate it and then see what we can get going here. So I've just been swamped, basically. So I'm not ignoring anybody. All right. I think I'll go ahead and I'll wrap this one up. It's been kind of one of those Sundays where, yeah, I think it's time. I have been able to get out here and play around a little bit. I got a piece that I'm working on up here. I didn't have to use any. The only thing I used was my drill. Yeehaw. And the sander. But I'm doing the finish work on it now. It's time to hit it with some 220 and give it the final top coat so Linda can use her new toy. And there may be video on that later, but I'm not ready to make any kind of announcements just yet. She's got to learn to use it, and I got to get it finished for her. More on that later. How's that for leaving you with the cliffhanger? Tomorrow, channel members. We're going to get into a little bit of 3D work, but it's not going to be necessarily 3D modeling. We're going to get into three-dimensional tabs for a two-sided project. Not just the hows and the whys, but the wherefores. Tab placements, why these are different than the 2D tabs in, say, a profile cut, and a few other things along the way. So tomorrow we're going to get into 3D work, as I said, and your project pictures that you share with me and everybody else. And if you haven't sent me pictures, try to get them to me before 3 o'clock Pacific. That'd be 6 o'clock Eastern. Because otherwise I got too many and they'll get left until next week. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or you'd like information on channel membership, we got a fantastic group of folks. And we'd love to have you join us. And then right below this video panel somewhere, you're going to see the word join. Go ahead and click that join button. You're not joining anything. You're just getting information. And there is no obligation. Okay? But click that button and a panel's going to pop up and a video is going to play. That'll tell you all about channel membership. Like I said, we got a fantastic group of folks. We have the super secret Facebook group and messenger chat. We have the even more super secret WhatsApp chat group, which is a lively bunch of folks that are into all kinds of things. We have the members only live streams on Monday. We have a members only 3D printing live stream on Thursday. We have a Saturday general BS Zoom call that runs 2, 3, 4 hours or until folks run out of gas. And we talk about life, the universe, and everything from barbecue to sports to all kinds of stuff. So if you want to be a part of this select group, click on that join button down there and get the information on it. make your decision there. We'd love to have you join along. It's a great group of people. It really is. So next Sunday, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do. So that means it's wide open for you. If you've got a question, if you've got something that's been driving you nuts, if you want a little bit more info on one of the methods I've talked about today or anything else, leave me a comment. Give me a suggestion. This has never been about me. This is about what you want, what you need. So I never say who's going to get the reference, Wendell. I always say the right people will get the reference. Score yourself 5 bonus style points. I need to know what you want to see. You want me to talk more about something? Let me know. You want me to talk less about something? Let me know. I can't do for you if I don't know what you want done for. That sounded right up here. It didn't sound right coming out there. Anyway, thank you for spending part of your Sunday with all of us here. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Channel members, thank you for being channel members. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Y'all take care. Have a good one.